All right, we're going to give it another minute or two. Thanks, everybody. All right, welcome to the May meeting of Rochester Housing Stability Fund Corporation. Melissa Varian will stand in as manager of the meeting. I will have us go around, I think, after we officially start the meeting and do quick introductions since we have a lot of guests today.
Yep, I'd just like to officially call the meeting to order.
Okay. So for those of you that don't know, I am Leah Ansom, the executive director and staff lended person to the RHSF.
I'm Darrell White, former employee of ESF Credit Union, and I'm also secretary.
My name is Lindsay Jackson. I'm a social worker with the Basic Needs team at the Legal Aid Society of Rochester.
And I'm Aubrey Jones, also a social worker on the Basic Needs team at Legal Aid.
I'm Natasha, City of Rochester, one of the senior housing planners here.
Hi, I'm Melissa Berry, and I am the Director of Resident Services at the Rochester Housing Authority and also Vice Chair of the board.
And good afternoon, I'm Mark Moyle, the Program Director of the Housing and Consumer Law Unit at the Legal Aid Society.
Isidore Morrell, City of Rochester Zoning and Permitting.
Cindy O'Grady, NBT Mortgage Originator. Laura Cadena, Providence Housing.
Carol Wheeler, Manager of Housing here in the city.
And I'm Joseph Floyd, legal staff to the Rochester Housing Stability Fund Corporation.
All right, and Tim and Nick are on the call with us.
Yeah, hi, Tim Gilmet. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Greater Rochester Habitat for Humanity.
All right, and I don't know if any of our other.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, guys,
Okay.
I couldn't make it, but it's all for your own good. I'm Nick Wilbur. I'm programs coordinator with the Southeast Area Coalition, and I'm not feeling well. Thank you, Melissa, for doing this for me.
Of course. All right. And then we have a couple of other, I know Dolores, if you want to give a quick intro.
Dolores Rodriguez, Baden Street Settlement, Community Advocate.
Wonderful.
I'm Pam Smith. I'm from the House of Mercy, Director of Operations.
I'm Tracy Welch, also from the House of Mercy. I'm the Interim Executive Director.
I'm Sarah Greavy. I'm the Landlord Liaison at Coordinated Care Services.
Okay. I don't know if Kaylee or Melita, you want to introduce yourselves. There's no requirement to do so.
Okay. Hello, my name is Melita King, and I am the Director of Administration for the House of Mercy.
All right. I think the first order of business is voting in all of our groups of minutes. We have March and April need to be voted in. And since we didn't do any official business at the special meeting, I don't believe we need to vote on it.
Okay. So I make a motion that we vote in the minutes for our March meeting.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No opposed, the motion carries. And then I'll make a motion that we vote in the minutes for our April meeting.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No opposed, the motion carries. Thanks, Leah, for doing that.
All right. I had thought of Asia would be able to provide our financial report. There is not much to report, so I will just give it to you. We have our 3 entities that we've awarded. 2 of them have started, and then the House of Mercy's contract is pending, so I anticipate that this month. We have no draws at this point against our $194,000 or the 90 grand in contracts. Our ARPA funded agreements are all plugging along, and partly that's why we have several of our special guests here, is to kind of talk about what they've seen and what is covered, what isn't covered, lessons learned, wish lists, to again kind of help us prioritize how we'd like to spend money that we don't yet have, but money as we go forward. All right. So, let's see. All right. Okay, so with that said, why don't we just sort of start with anybody who is on the call or in person. If you just want to start talking, I think we're ready to listen. And if that's awkward, I have loads of questions.
I mean, I can talk just for quickly. So I am the program director at the Legal Aid Society of the Housing Consumer Law Unit. And what that really means is that we provide in-person representation at Rochester City Court. Let's just say basically to anyone who's looking for representation in their eviction case. So today we went over there, we made an announcement in court, the referee pointed us out, and then as everyone trickled out of court, they came over to our booth, people sign up with us, we do a conflict check, and then we go forward on their case. Some cases are going to be withdrawn, some people don't show up to court, so we never meet them. Other people do an intake and we don't have a conflict with them, so we sit down with them and try and resolve their case the best that we can. We listen to what their goal is, and then we go forward. So sometimes that's holding a trial, sometimes it's working on a payment arrangement, sometimes it's working on a move-out deal, and then sometimes it's having a trial and going forward on the facts and law and all that sort of stuff. But what I would say is that this money, the money that we've been administering through the Legal Aid Society and through our other partners in the Teleska Center for Justice, so that's Law New York, Empire Justice, and Just Cause. I would just say the main group that's asking for funds is Law New York, because they're also doing in-person representation of people in subsidized housing and Section 8 tenants, is that as a tool of, let's call it leverage, or as just something to respond with, this money has been absolutely invaluable If I could give dozens of examples of how these funds have helped people avoid catastrophe, but one of the most important is that if somebody has paid a huge amount of their money or income towards catching up on back rent for whatever reason they fell behind, and they come to court and it's May 5th, and they still owe $100 from April and all of May, the landlord can go forward on that case with someone being almost that far caught up. And in a lot of cases, this money helps people who have already expended all their resources to try to get caught up, just completely finish it off and have, pay $700 that day. The case is withdrawn, and people couldn't be happier to have that kind of burden lifted off of them in that way. Coming to court full of anxiety, thinking that the worst might happen, and then having this kind of just miracle swoop in and they can walk out free and with no case pending against them is just amazing. Now, there's a million other ways that this money, or not a million, but a bunch of other ways this money is used, but I think that's the most kind of immediate satisfaction piece that we can look at. And what has been lacking since I started doing this work over 15 years ago is that ability to just come in and fix someone's problem in an active way, on an anxiety-filled day, maybe the worst day of their life, wondering what's going to happen to themselves and their family, and then just being able to solve that. I mean, it's something that I have been wishing for a dozen years, and so I just want to say, first of all, thank you for administering it in this way, and I hope it can keep going. I know Aubrey and Lindsay have some things on their end as social workers, kind of after the fact, or in the meantime, some successes that they want to talk about.
Yeah, Mark recently referred to me, a single mom with 3 kids under 4 years old, and used some funds to, help her stay where she was for that time. It was a room in a boarding house, so not an ideal location for a single mom with 3 young kids. We ended up working with her on a number of other things. She didn't have them up to date on vaccination, so making sure we were helping her get that stuff done, getting them enrolled into daycare and Head Start, helping her through the DHS process to get rental assistance going forward, helping her on the apartment search. She just this weekend moved into a new apartment because of these funds. So they are no longer in that rooming house, and the only way that this would have happened is with those funds. There's no way that she would have ever been able to save up enough money for security deposit to get out of that situation. So that's probably like the only way for her to get out of that situation. We've had a number of other cases.
This rooming house was uniquely chaotic and had come before the court numerous times with a lot of strange allegations happening. So I was intent, once they started working with this individual, to get these little kids out of that situation. It was incredibly dangerous.
I went over there and there was a man in the living room chain smoking with liquor. It's like 11 a.m. And again, these kids are 8 months to 4 years old.
Was the eviction, were they trying to evict her out of the rooming house?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so we actually said her rent was very low, as it is in most rooming houses. So we did help her with a couple months of rent to get rid of the eviction process. And then a couple months later, as Aubrey and Lindsay worked with her, they were able to get her more stably housed and somewhere much safer than what I knew was a really bad situation.
And was the social work element tied to the?
They're funded through a number of funding lines, not through Rochester Housing Stability Fund being.
Okay, so it was just something you were aware of that you could afford, yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
So just your own collaboration was able to get that, the person over to them.
So we're all 3 Legal Aid Society.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's
our
great.
group can only take internal referrals, so they already have to be a legal aid client. And so our attorneys know and send them to us, and then we work as best as we can to try to make the process a little smoother for people as they're going through all of the different systems trying to get us.
What it really is, I mean, in a way, we're a known quantity in a lot of the city, and to a lot of, property managers and lawyers. So when we say that we have this and we can do this, but they're gonna trust us, right? It's in an attorney trust account. I'm not giving someone a flim-flam story, they know that. So if we have the money and it's available, then they know that once all those things are met in a situation like that, these are secure. And the same thing goes for over at court. If I forget the checkbook, I can tell them, look, you have my word, I'm gonna pay this, and they say, okay, they withdraw it, and then we go forward in the process and get the checks out to the attorney or to the property manager, depending on how that is set up for us. But, again, matching actual amounts of money with a trusted source really creates a really nice ecosystem where there is, I would say, just good things happening, right? Where cases are resolved, people are caught up on their rent and are not facing eviction anymore and can go forward in hopefully in a positive direction. So.
And we're there as our social work unit to support people in the different ways that we can support them so that they are successful moving forward.
So this money adds to the social worker's ability to find different solutions for the troubles that our clients are finding.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm just curious, will there be a check-in, and maybe you mentioned, with this family now that they've moved into the new apartment?
So we're still working with them. Just this morning, me and the other social worker on our team took over a van load. We took her a mattress and pots and pans and cleaning supplies, hygiene items. So we will work with her for the next several months. And then if she's open to it, we'll connect her with longer term case management. Yep.
And the same is true for tenants. If we give our card to everyone who wants it, even if a case is withdrawn. If you run into a problem or you're misunderstanding something that's happening, email me or give me a call, and we'll do our best to answer your question.
Dolores, do you want to talk at all about the types of clients that you've been seeing, or any new, I don't know, problems are the right words, but new things that people are presenting with?
Well, excuse me. Yes, we're seeing an increase of people being evicted, not only because the rent is too high or because someone got sick. For instance, I had a family, this is even better. I have a family, immigrants. They came from Puerto Rico. They lost parents due to COVID, and they came from Puerto Rico over here, and they found several units, and they needed the security deposit, but DHS was taking, well, they're understaffed and overwhelmed with caseloads. They were taking too long to process the documentation, but they were also bringing their Section 8 from Puerto Rico over here. So we had to get a landlord that had a unit prepared immediately. They were in a shelter. This is a family of 8. They were in a shelter. So the caseworkers, the individual that took care of the case, we contacted one of the landlords that we deal with on a regular basis, because she has Section 8 property that is ready for Section 8. And she accepted them she had to move in immediately, as long as we had documentation that they came from the island. They were transferring their Section 8, the family situation over there in Puerto Rico. But we gave them our word that we would assist them in navigating public benefits, such as DHS, unemployment, what have you, because her husband became unemployed when he came over here. He had held the job for 2 months. But nonetheless, we send them to our Attain lab. We got the case open here. The family was moving in, but I am finding a lot of people that are coming through the Section 8 piece. Some people are already, and then people that have no income, I cannot assist those. So I don't mean that in a negative way, but I cannot assist them in a sense of moving them into a new unit or paying the back rent until they can show that they can afford the unit moving forward. And it's unfortunate because these landlords are making these rents unaffordable. And we're getting an increase on violations as well. So it's kind of hard to tell someone, either it be an individual or families, that we cannot assist because there's too many violations or there's violations. It's uninhabitable. There's so many scenarios. It's kind of difficult, and it's hard to weed out who you can and cannot help. But just because we cannot help you financially does not mean we cannot advocate for you in seeking other units, because we do know we have contacts with project managers, housing managers, private landlords. So we reach out to them to try to get them into stable housing, whether it be security deposit, first month's rent, and for those who have arrears, contingent on the amount. Again, everyone must show that they can afford the units moving forward, contingent on the amount. Some may have to bring some money towards their arrears. I've had people come in with $7,000 in arrears, and the money that we got through the city, we cannot pick that up. So we collaborate with other agencies, we collaborate with DHS and see if they can pick up some, and then we'll pick up the balance, and the clients submit some of their monies as well to make them whole. And then we go from there and try to teach them budgeting. We refer them to the Attain Lab for basic computer lessons so that they can seek and maintain employment. If they have a mental health or substance use disorder, we send them to our counseling center, to our behavior health. If they need daycare, that's the young lady was stating, we connect them with everything and everyone we can so that they can become self-sufficient, because that is our sole goal.
Does House of Mercy, I know you are new to the RHSF family, but if you have, or Sarah, if you have trends or things that you want to be sure that you tell us, this is a great time.
Yep, good morning again, everyone. Yeah, so we are definitely new. We will be new, and we appreciate the opportunity to partner with the City of Rochester. This meeting definitely caught my attention, and I'm glad to know that there will be these ongoing meetings that we can participate in. Because we serve adults 21 and older, we have individuals here at the House of Mercy that work and or may receive their own income, such as SSI, SSD, and whatnot. And we have those persons, we have a contract with DHS. So there are individuals that enter our setting, we can get them connected with DHS, or they may already sometimes come and they're already active with the county. So therefore they are eligible to receive the rent subsidy through the county. And as you know, it's $414 without utilities, or $440 including utilities per month. So that leaves our folks who are in need of obtaining a room to rent. So what we've done historically and what we've really ramped up in recent years is building relationships with landlords, property managers that have properties that are appropriate for our folks. We want our people, obviously, as I'm sure all of you do, the same. We want our folks to be in areas where they're going to be as safe as possible, safe in terms of their own recovery, physically safe and whatnot. And we need the properties to be healthy for them as well. So with this grant, and I should say this too, prior to this grant, we have had a fund, the Jim Bogle Fund here at the House of Mercy, and we've been able to utilize that for folks who are in need of a security deposit. And sometimes we've been able to use it in the past to help those who aren't associated with the House of Mercy, but reach out for us for rental assistance. So with this grant, the grant will be able to kind of bolster the work we do that way. Plus, we will be able to get out and talk with and help our folks to continue to view properties. And while they're viewing, if there are violations and whatnot that we come across, if it's something minor that we're able to address, then we will have the landlord agree to accept a grant from us through this new grant through the city. And we'll be able to get that work done. Therefore our folks will have more housing opportunities. So we're really excited about this. As all of you well know, there is not enough property in the city of Rochester that's affordable for folks that we're working with. So we're really excited. We really appreciate this opportunity to learn more. Dolores, it sounds like you definitely have a lot of contacts, so I hope that we'll be able to connect with you. And as I continue to hear and learn from others that are in the room and online, I hope we'll be able to partner and kind of network as well, all for the purpose of providing more housing opportunities to our people. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am pretty new to my role at CCSI. We also operate with ARPA grants. So my piece is to connect landlords and service providers who are trying to house their clients. And we have money to incentivize landlords to advertise their units and rent to those clients. We also have a mediation program, no cost to landlord or tenant. And maybe if there's a back rent issue, we can help alleviate that with some funds. We have a full-time mediator, like we have a couple scheduled for today, that there's some issues communicating about why rent's not being paid or why there's damages to apartments and helping to keep people housed. I just happened upon this meeting today, just doing a random Google search of trying to find out where there's people I can talk to. So this is great. I don't love that there's all these issues going on with keeping people housed, but there's clearly a lot of us that are trying to help fix that situation.
We have particular questions, and again, it's always the leadership, I'm sorry about that.
You said that you work with landlords and incentivize them to help, like permanent supportive housing programs, house people. Do you have like a list of landlords that you provide that have open available units right now?
Yeah, so we have a website, it's frontdoorny.org, and I can drop that in the chart, or in the chat, I'm sorry. So yeah, so I have a extensive background in low-income housing tax credit housing. So now I'm trying to sort of, find those mom and pop landlords that maybe have smaller batches of units that they are, willing to rent to people who might be coming out of homelessness or who just sort of need that hand up because they had some sort of life circumstance that, put them in the situations that they're in right now.
I know one of the things that the RHSF has really struggled with is because our funding is rather minimal, we're trying to be very strategic, which I know is such a business term, but we really are trying to find where the niches are and where the gaps are, where we can just say, okay, here's a thing that we can help with. And I know I will not speak for the whole board, but certainly I know that's something that we've struggled with is there's so many needs, but what are some things that just nobody has ever found money to do the thing? One of the programs that the RHSF is currently paying for is a warehouse with bedroom and household furniture so that people who had to move and had to leave everything behind can still, have a bedroom set and other household items. I think Laura has often talked about moving expenses is something that nobody ever covers. So if there are particular, lots and lots of people are showing up with a particular issue and you're like, oh, well, you're the 10th one this week, nothing we can do about that. What's the wish list? So that, we can sort of keep that idea and grow with it. I would open that up to any of our folks.
I'd say in addition to moving expenses, like having money to pay for a storage unit for a month or two, because it's not always realistic to find new housing for someone when they have to be out and they end up in a shelter or crashing with a friend or something and they lose all of their belongings.
One of the other things that we see a lot with our clients too is when they're in that in-between, everyone has pets. They don't want to lose their pets. So like that's kind of a really out there kind of thought, but a temporary, yeah, I mean, some respite for someone's cat so they don't choose to live under the bridge instead of staying in a shelter for a couple of nights, I don't want to tell anyone they have to give up their pet, but you know, we're in a predicament a lot,
Right.
so.
From my point of view, it's not so much that no one ever thought to help people with rental assistance, but kind of the stepping back of the, you know, obviously there are regulations involved and we read them and remain strict with them, but DHS has many more restrictions or regulations on what can be used, what this money can be used for. And again, so from my point of view, trying to get people out of really difficult circumstances, it can be just really, really good leverage to have this sitting in the background. As something that I can promise, I don't want to say immediately all the time, but that if everyone knows that I have this, there's always this background idea that you know, we could go this way, or if we want to ask for a trial and we know that this person's only going to owe X amount of dollars minus whatever the judge takes away, I know that we can go forward on that trial that somebody might otherwise not take, and then go ahead and pay whatever the judge orders after the trial. So.
Yes, I do think that that has been a big benefit, is that our funds don't have as many of the checklists as a lot of funding sources. So I'm definitely not trying to say that rental assistance isn't wonderful, but
oh, yeah.
You know. Other thoughts? Other ideas?
Would it be doable if the city not only provide financial assistance to obtain, sustain, and maintain units, but to purchase particular items such as bedding? You know, like for instance, the family that were in the shelter, the family of 8. You know, beds, things that are definitely needed, you know, not a TV or anything like that, but beds, a sofa, a dinette set, a refrigerator, a stove, anything to that nature, the needs, not the wants. Because when I do get funds at times, at one point I had Project Uplift through United Way, and I work with, what is it? The store on, oh my God, Quality Furniture, and there's another one, but they get new furniture. I will purchase the family new furnitures, you know. Would that be doable to add that onto that contract once? No, if and when we do get the funds, to add that, to alleviate some of the burden, let's say.
I mean, certainly I'm gonna write that down as a prospective option, you know, for, you know, the different things that the RHSF might fund, like a little stipend for household items not easily attainable.
Yeah, and I think also too, it's important to have those conversations when you're in the room with funders, because there is the thought that there is somebody who's providing those services, because there were places like that in the past. You could go to the Salvation Army, you could go to, you know, the United Way, or not the United Way, but what's the other one that's not the Salvation Army?
YW?
No. Goodwill, yes. So there were places that did provide that service that don't do that anymore. So that's something that we probably do need to be collectively thinking about, like, how do we get that back? Because the places that have these things, like big box stores, still do have those things that, you know, have dents in them, so they don't sell them anymore. They were donating them to those places. So they're getting donated somewhere, just not to the Salvation Army, because they don't wanna, you know, keep warehouse space to house them. So it's just
appliances,
yeah,
too, I feel like.
yes. So there is a thought, we probably
change
just need to
suddenly,
collectively think about how we can get that back.
A lot of apartments don't come with stoves and refrigerators anymore.
Right, so when I first started doing housing, every place had a stove and refrigerator. And then suddenly we started encountering places that, oh no, we don't provide that. And then we're like, well, how are we moving someone in there from homelessness with no stove and no fridge and 5 kids? We can't do that. We're not allowed to do that. So then they're not getting housed.
Yeah.
So yeah, the appliance thing is I think that's a pretty new thing.
Yeah, because even the housing authority, we don't provide them either, so. we're a housing authority, so.
Right.
So just think about that.
It's a product of New York State law that says unless it's in the lease that appliances are included, they're there at the tenant's convenience. But if they're there at the tenant's convenience and the stove breaks, somebody's gonna complain.
Because sometimes somebody left it. The
Yes.
last person left without it, because wherever they were going had it, so they were better.
And as,
They're like, bye.
after the pandemic, as relations got a little more, or a little less defined, and a little more casual in terms of not having year-long leases, those problems built up, and I think a lot of landlords are just like, forget it. But
Yeah.
that's just a product of the way that the common law has developed in New York around appliances and housing.
And we just, and if someone leaves them at the housing authority, it could be in good working condition and we throw it out. Yes.
Don't you donate it? Please call us.
I do not think we donate it, I think we throw it out.
Oh,
wow.
I don't quote me on that, and I think we're on live public. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me. Don't quote me.
Time to get our house.
Right?
Time to get our
Don't put that in the minutes. I'll check.
I mean, that's why we have, that's
There
why
is
we have
warehouse
Esther
that takes
Project.
it and sells them to not-for-profits for cheap.
Yeah, isn't it?
The building
Well, Esther
owner.
Project is, I don't think they're charging, but anyway.
Yeah, but I'll check,
Yeah, just maybe that's a connection we can maybe see.
You know, another thing too, I was trying to clean out somebody's apartment, whatever, and trying to find somebody to take all the stuff. It was hard because there was like 4 or 5 steps that they had to go up. Nobody would come and do it, and I'm too old to be moving furniture around or whatever. But you got junk says, oh, well, we'll give it to charities. I don't know what they are, but there was always that part of me that says, are you just saying this, just does it feel good, or is it actually there? But that's another thing, is just who will take them, because I think people just don't know every day, what the hell, you're just sitting there, what the hell am I gonna do with all this stuff?
Right.
And it's sort of like, you know.
And the extra effort, I think, is
It's-
sometimes it's too much for
And
that
it's
person.
hard to find where to send it, because like, some places they just wouldn't go up the stairs, and what are you gonna do?
A lot of them depend on volunteers, and the volunteers just
Yes.
physically aren't able to do it. It's
Yeah,
the problem,
exactly,
unfortunately.
yeah.
But there are places, we have ideas, we can talk.
Yeah. But I think that's a big thing too.
When you're talking about furniture, you gotta know that roaches, bed
Yeah.
bugs,
Bed bugs.
Yeah.
I think bed bugs is a big issue.
spiders,
Yeah,
everything, that's
think you
scary
do.
to pick up something that's fabric from
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah, it's true.
Actually, I ran a garage sale for a small nonprofit, and we had leftover stuff, and there was a refugee support organization that somebody called and said, hey, we have these leftover things, and she came and toured and specifically said, we do not take any soft items, because whether, we don't know where it came from, and we are making no judgments, but we are concerned about,
Sure.
bed bugs, et cetera, and so even the sheets and towels, right, nope. The rocking chair they took, which is nice.
Although they should be careful because wood holds bed bugs.
Wood does?
Yes, it does.
So do TVs.
Yeah.
Like,
Bed bugs
they
are,
get into
bed bugs are very,
everything. They're
yeah.
insidious.
Yeah, bed bugs can, any porous thing of bed bugs can run.
That is not what I wanted to learn, sorry. Why are you itchy on this? Yeah, I know, seriously. Sorry, guys.
Doing all horrible things.
All right, let's see, any other? Yeah, so Cheryl actually is funded by us. So that's one of our ongoing organizations. We're seeing how it goes, brand new. All right, any other burning thoughts or questions as we wrap it up? And Asia will have to give us our quick financial update.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So for this, we started the month with 134,837.74 in available funds. So we have one contract pending, which is the House of Mercy. We haven't received any invoices yet for our other contract with Esther Project or the Rochester Refuge Resettlement. That's the update.
All right. Thanks for your first one. Next one will be more complicated. I'm sure we will have draws. All right. Do we have any other business that we need to conduct? A reminder for anybody who hasn't had a chance to sign up for your APO training for board members. I think I've received certificates for more than half of you, but for the rest of you, let's make sure we take care of that.
Well, I will make a motion to bring the meeting to a close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No opposed, the motion carries.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time. As always, it's a great meeting. I learned a ton, and I'll see most of you in a month. Talk soon.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.